Dr. Zexhai pressed her six-fingered hand against the cold metal of her laboratory wall. The data streams flowing across her screens made no sense. After 30 years of studying alien species across the galaxy, she had never seen anything like this. The humans were impossible. Her research station orbited the gas giant they called Jupiter, hidden behind its largest moon. For 6 months, her team had been watching the third planet from this star, the one the inhabitants called Earth. What they found there broke every rule of galactic science. "Doctor, the new reports are ready," said her assistant, Kreltos. His blue skin looked pale in the artificial light. Like all members of his species, the Vortai, he could sense electromagnetic fields with his specialized organs. This ability made him perfect for detecting technology signatures from great distances. Zexhai took the datapad with her primary arms, while her secondary arms continued working on the star charts. The Kethran species had evolved 4 arms over millions of years, making them excellent at multitasking. Their large brains and efficient nervous systems made them the natural scientists of the galaxy. She read the first page and her throat sacs deflated with confusion. According to every measurement they had taken, humans should not be able to do the things they were doing. "Look at this," she said to Kreltos, pointing at the biological scan results. "Their brains are tiny compared to ours. They have no electromagnetic sensing organs, no quantum processing ability. Their reaction times are slow. Their physical strength is average at best." Kreltos nodded, his head tentacles swaying. "The strangest part is their technology level, Doctor. They still use chemical rockets to reach orbit. Their computers are primitive. They fight wars with metal bullets fired by chemical explosions." Zexhai pulled up another screen showing combat footage taken by their spy drones. Human military forces moved across a battlefield with coordination that should have been impossible for their species. They anticipated enemy movements without any visible communication technology. They adapted their tactics in real time to counter threats they had never seen before. "Play the space engagement from last week," she ordered. The holographic display showed human spacecraft moving through an asteroid field. The ships were crude, powered by simple fusion engines that any galactic civilization had moved beyond centuries ago. But they moved with precision that made Zexhai's research team gasp in amazement. The human pilots navigated between asteroids at speeds that should have resulted in collision after collision. Their reaction times, according to all biological data, were too slow for such maneuvers, yet they flew like they were reading the thoughts of space itself. "How are they doing this?" Kreltos asked. His electromagnetic sensors were picking up no unusual energy signatures from the human ships, no advanced AI systems, no quantum computers guiding their path. Zexhai had been asking herself the same question for months. Every other species in the galaxy excelled at warfare through clear advantages. The Melody could process thousands of battlefield variables simultaneously with their quantum biological brains. The Sektar had natural armor that could stop most weapons. The Volcran moved faster than most species could track. Humans had none of these advantages. They were, by all galactic standards, unremarkable in every measurable way. "Doctor, incoming message from the Galactic Council," announced her communications officer, Yelra. The insectoid species had compound eyes that could process multiple data streams at once. The message appeared on the main screen. Admiral Thexavol of the Confederation Navy looked stern, his reptilian features showing concern. "Dr. Zexhai, we have received your preliminary reports about the human species. The Council is troubled by your findings." Zexhai activated the response channel. "Admiral, I understand their concern. What we are seeing challenges our understanding of combat effectiveness. Explain to me again how a species with no significant evolutionary advantages has managed to develop weapons that penetrate our shield technology." This was the part that kept Zexhai awake during her rest periods. Human weapons should not work against Confederation defenses. Their metal projectiles fired by chemical explosives should bounce harmlessly off energy shields that could stop plasma beams and particle accelerators. Instead, human bullets somehow found weaknesses in shield matrices that their creators never knew existed. Human missiles followed flight paths that confused tracking systems designed to predict any possible trajectory. Most disturbing of all, Human soldiers seemed to instinctively know where to aim to cause maximum damage to technology they had never seen before. "I believe they are using principles we do not understand, Admiral," Zexai replied carefully. "Not advanced technology, but advanced thinking." Admiral Thexvol's scales darkened, a sign of skepticism among his people. "Advanced thinking? Doctor, our intelligence assessments show they still fight wars among themselves over resources and territory. They pollute their own planet. They have barely achieved interplanetary travel. How can you call this advanced thinking?" Zexai pulled up footage of a human military training exercise. Soldiers worked together in small groups, communicating through simple voice commands and hand signals. No telepathy, no advanced data links, no AI coordination. Yet they moved like a single organism. When one group encountered an obstacle, others adapted their approach without being told. When the exercise parameters changed, they changed with them instantly. "Watch this section, Admiral," Zexai said, highlighting a segment where human soldiers faced a simulated alien attack. The training used captured Confederation technology, though she was not sure how humans had obtained it. The human response was unlike anything in the Galactic military database. Instead of following standard tactical doctrine, they improvised solutions in real time. They turned defensive equipment into offensive weapons. They used environmental features that other species would ignore. Most importantly, they learned from each exchange and never made the same mistake twice. "This is concerning," Admiral Thexvol admitted. "Our latest intelligence suggests they are preparing for contact with galactic civilization, not as a primitive species seeking guidance, but as equals seeking alliance." Zexai had reached the same conclusion. Human communication networks buzzed with discussions about extraterrestrial contact. Their governments had created departments specifically for alien relations. Their military forces had developed training scenarios for combat against hypothetical alien technologies. They were not waiting passively for first contact, they were preparing for it. "I need to conduct direct observation studies," Zexai said. "Our remote sensing cannot explain what we are seeing. I need to understand how they think." "Absolutely not," Admiral Thexvol replied immediately. "The risk of exposure is too great. Continue your remote studies and report your findings." After the communication ended, Zexai stared at the data streaming across her screens. Every measurement showed humans to be an average species with average capabilities. Every observation showed them performing far beyond what those capabilities should allow. She pulled up the xenobiology textbooks that had guided her career. Chapter after chapter explained how species succeeded through evolutionary advantages. Better brains, stronger bodies, specialized organs, advanced technology. The galaxy was filled with species that had found their niche and excelled within it. Humans seemed to excel at everything while being specifically adapted for nothing. Kreltos approached her workstation carrying another datapad. "Doctor, we have new information. Human spacecraft have been detected in 3 different star systems, all previously unexplored by any galactic species." Zexai took the pad and reviewed the data. Human exploration ships using their primitive technology had somehow reached regions of space that Confederation surveys had not yet mapped. They were expanding outward from their home system faster than any species in recorded history. "How?" she whispered to herself. The question that had been growing in her mind became impossible to ignore. What if the galaxy's understanding of intelligence and capability was wrong? What if humans represented something that scientific models could not measure? What if they were not just another species, but something entirely new? 3 weeks later, Dr. Zexai watched her screens with growing unease. Her hidden research station had moved closer to Earth, using advanced cloaking technology to remain invisible. What her team discovered there made her question everything she knew about warfare. "Doctor, you need to see this," called Yelra from her monitoring station. The insectoid's compound eyes reflected the glow of multiple displays showing human military activities across their planet. Zexai moved to the observation deck, her forearms working to adjust the long-range sensors. The images that appeared made her throat sacs contract with surprise. Human military forces were conducting exercises that seemed impossible for their technology level. Ground troops moved through hostile terrain without any visible communication with command centers. Naval vessels coordinated attacks across vast ocean distances using only primitive radio signals. Aircraft pilots engaged in complex maneuvers that should have required computer assistance they did not possess. Focus on the naval exercise in their Pacific Ocean, she instructed. The display zoomed in on a group of human warships spread across hundreds of miles of open water. By all logic, coordinating such a large force should require advanced communication networks and AI tactical systems. Instead, the humans were using radio transmissions and something far more puzzling. Kreltos, are you detecting any hidden technology? Zexai asked. Her assistant's head tentacles flickered as his electromagnetic senses swept the area. Nothing, Doctor. Simple radio waves and basic radar. No quantum entanglement networks. No psionic amplifiers. No advanced AI systems. Yet the human ships moved with perfect coordination. When one group encountered simulated enemy forces, others adjusted their positions without receiving direct orders. When weather conditions changed, the entire formation adapted smoothly to maintain tactical advantage. Zexai pulled up her database of galactic military doctrine. Every successful spacefaring species followed similar patterns. Superior technology provided battlefield awareness. Advanced biology enabled faster reactions. Specialized evolution created natural advantages. Humans seem to operate on entirely different principles. Show me the aerial combat footage from yesterday, she requested. The screen filled with images of human aircraft engaging in mock battles above their North American continent. The planes were primitive by galactic standards, powered by chemical combustion and guided by simple computer systems. Their pilots relied on visual identification and basic instruments, but they flew like they could read each other's minds. Human pilot would begin an attack run, and his wingmen would anticipate the maneuver without any radio communication. Enemy pilots would react to threats they should not have been able to detect. The entire engagement flowed like a complex dance, where every participant knew their role without being told. This should not be possible, muttered Jenkar, her weapons specialist. The heavily armored Sektar had fought in 17 different conflicts across the galaxy. His natural shell could deflect most energy weapons, and his species' tactical knowledge was legendary. Explain, Zexai said. Jenkar's shell plates shifted, a sign of confusion among his people. Doctor, look at their reaction times. Human nervous systems are too slow for aerial combat at those speeds. Their visual processing cannot track multiple targets simultaneously. Their communication systems have too much delay for real-time coordination. He pulled up a comparative analysis on his screen. A Melody pilot can process battlefield information 10 times faster than a human. A Volcran pilot can track 50 targets, while a human can effectively manage perhaps 5. Our own pilots have computer-assisted targeting that responds in microseconds while humans require full seconds to acquire targets. Yet they are winning these exercises, Zexai observed. Against their own kind, yes. But Doctor, our preliminary combat models suggest that any galactic species should easily defeat human forces in direct engagement. Zexai was not convinced. She had spent too many hours watching human tactical innovation to trust computer models. She activated the display showing a human army training exercise from their Asian continent. Thousands of soldiers moved across mountainous terrain in small groups. They had no telepathic communication, no shared neural networks, no AI coordination systems. Each group operated independently using only radio contact and visual signals. When the exercise parameters changed, simulating the arrival of superior enemy forces, something remarkable happened. The human groups did not follow predetermined responses or wait for orders from commanders. Instead, they adapted their tactics in real time, each group making decisions that supported the overall mission without central coordination. One group encountered an obstacle that should have stopped their advance. Instead of calling for support, they improvised a solution using available materials and continued forward. Their innovation created opportunities that other groups exploited without being told to do so. Another group faced simulated air attack from forces they had never trained against. Rather than following standard defensive procedures, they created new tactics on the spot, turning their vehicles and equipment into weapon systems that had never been designed for combat. They are treating each engagement as a learning opportunity, Zexai realized. Not following doctrine, but creating it. Kreltos looked up from his sensor readings. Doctor, I'm detecting human spacecraft conducting unusual maneuvers in their outer system. The display shifted to show the region around the fourth planet, which humans called Mars. 3 human vessels were engaged in what appeared to be combat, training, but their movements defied explanation. The ships were simple fusion-powered craft with basic weapon systems, no energy shields, no gravitational manipulation, no quantum processors. Yet they moved through space with coordination that would have impressed veteran Confederation pilots. Look at this maneuver, Zexai said, highlighting a sequence where one human ship appeared to be retreating from the other 2. As the pursuing vessels moved to intercept, the retreating ship suddenly reversed course and engaged them from an unexpected angle. The maneuver should not have worked. The pursuing ships had superior position and should have easily countered the attack. Instead, they seemed surprised by tactics that any tactical computer should have predicted. They are not using optimal strategies, Genkar noted. Their approach violates several principles of space combat efficiency. Yet it works, Zexai replied. Why does suboptimal tactics produce superior results? She pulled up another recording, this one showing human pilots training in their atmosphere. The aircraft performed maneuvers that pushed both machine and pilot to dangerous limits. Many species would consider such training wasteful, risking valuable equipment and personnel for marginal improvements in capability. But Zexai began to see a pattern. Human pilots were not just learning to fly their machines efficiently, they were learning to fly them in ways the machines were never designed for. They discovered capabilities that engineers had not intended and limitations that specifications did not mention. They are not using their technology, she said slowly. They are exploring it. Yelra's antennae twitched with interest. Explain, Doctor. Zexai stood and began pacing, her 4 arms gesturing as her thoughts organized. Every other species in the galaxy uses technology to enhance their natural abilities. Better sensors for better eyes, faster processors for better brains, stronger materials for better armor. She paused at the main display, showing human forces from around their planet. Humans seem to use technology as a starting point for innovation. They take a tool designed for one purpose and discover 10 new ways to use it. The implications were troubling. Galactic military doctrine was based on predictable technological capabilities. Energy weapons had known ranges and effects. Defensive systems had established parameters. Combat vehicles operated within designed specifications. If humans consistently operated outside those parameters, then all galactic tactical knowledge might be useless against them. Doctor, incoming priority message from Admiral Thexvol, announced the communication station. The Admiral's image appeared on the main screen, his reptilian features showing unusual tension. Dr. Zexai, we have a situation. Long-range sensors have detected human vessels approaching the edge of their star system. They appear to be conducting reconnaissance of deep space. Zexai felt her primary heart skip a beat. How is that possible, Admiral? Their technology should not allow effective interstellar observation. That is what we need you to determine. The Council is concerned that humans may detect our observation posts before we complete our studies. After the communication ended, Zexai returned to her analysis with new urgency. If humans were actively exploring beyond their star system, first contact might happen sooner than anyone expected. And she was beginning to suspect that the galaxy was not prepared for meeting this impossible species. Dr. Zexai stood in the command center of her research station, watching disaster unfold on her screens. What had started as a routine observation mission was becoming something no one had anticipated. Captain Velthar of the Confederation Patrol, Ship Silent Observer, had made an unauthorized decision. Instead of maintaining covert observation, he had intercepted a human cargo vessel at the edge of their star system. His intention was simple: capture the ship, study the crew, and gather intelligence about human capabilities. The plan should have worked perfectly. The silent observer was a military vessel equipped with energy weapons, deflector shields, and gravitational manipulation systems. The human ship was a simple cargo hauler powered by fusion engines and armed with nothing more dangerous than industrial equipment. Captain Velthar, report your status. Zexhai transmitted to the patrol ship. The reply came through crackling with interference. Dr. Zexhai, we have encountered unexpected resistance. The human vessel is not responding as predicted. On her display, Zexhai watched the engagement with growing amazement. The human cargo ship, designated by its crew as the Lucky Strike, was performing maneuvers that should have been impossible for a civilian vessel. Its captain, according to intercepted communications, was a human female named Sarah Chen. Her personnel record, obtained through long-range data extraction, showed her as a former military pilot who now transported mining equipment between planets in their solar system. Captain Chen was turning her cargo hauler into a weapon of war. Kreltos, what are you detecting from the human ship? Zexhai asked. Her assistant's electromagnetic senses were focused on the battle. The vessel is using its mining laser as a precision weapon, Doctor. But the targeting should be impossible. They have no advanced fire control systems. Zexhai watched as Chen directed her ship's industrial laser with accuracy that would have impressed military gunnery specialists. The beam struck precise points on the silent observer's hull, somehow finding weaknesses in areas that should have been heavily armored. How does she know where to aim? Muttered Genkar from his weapons analysis station. The answer came as they watched Chen's tactics evolve in real time. She was not using predetermined targeting data or computer-assisted aiming. Instead, she observed the effects of each laser strike and adjusted her approach based on what she learned. When the laser proved ineffective against the patrol ship's main armor, she targeted sensor arrays. When the ship adjusted its defensive posture, she switched to attacking maneuvering thrusters. Each exchange taught her something new about her opponent's capabilities and limitations. She is conducting tactical analysis during combat, Zexhai realized. Not following a battle plan, but creating one based on real-time observation. The situation became more complex when Chen began deploying her cargo as weapons. Mining equipment designed for asteroid processing became kinetic projectiles, launched from her ship's cargo bay. Industrial explosives meant for excavation work became improvised missiles guided by simple chemical thrusters. None of these weapons should have threatened a military vessel. The silent observer's point defense systems were designed to intercept far more sophisticated attacks, but Chen was not launching conventional attacks. Her cargo containers followed ballistic trajectories that confused tracking systems expecting powered missiles. Her improvised explosives detonated at unexpected moments, creating debris fields that interfered with the patrol ship's sensors. Most importantly, she was learning from each failed attack and adjusting her tactics accordingly. Captain Velthar, withdraw from the engagement. Admiral Thexavol's voice came through the communication system. The Admiral had been monitoring the situation from the Fleet Command Center. Admiral, we can defeat this primitive vessel, Captain Velthar replied. Our weapon systems are far superior to anything they possess. But Zexhai could see that Captain Chen had already anticipated the patrol ship's next move. When the silent observer powered up its main plasma cannon for a decisive strike, Chen's ship was no longer where the targeting computer expected it to be. She had maneuvered her cargo hauler behind a cluster of asteroids, using the natural cover to break the weapon lock. When the plasma beam fired, it struck empty space while Chen emerged from concealment at a different angle. Impossible, breathed Yelra. She predicted their attack pattern without any knowledge of our weapon systems. Zexhai was beginning to understand. Chen was not predicting specific technologies. She was predicting behavior. Every military force in the galaxy followed similar tactical principles. Achieve superior position, apply overwhelming firepower, maintain defensive advantage. Chen was fighting as if she understood these principles better than the species that had invented them. The Lucky Strike suddenly accelerated toward the patrol ship on a collision course. This should have been suicide for the smaller vessel, But Chen had calculated something the aliens had missed. At the last moment, she used her ship's mining charges to create an explosion that pushed her vessel aside while sending debris directly into the silent observers' path. The patrol ship's shields absorbed the impact, but the debris interfered with their sensor readings for crucial seconds. In that brief window, Chen positioned her ship where the patrol ship's weapons could not target her effectively. "She is using our own defensive systems against us," Genkar observed with something like admiration. "The shields that protect us are blocking our sensors when she fills the area with debris." Chen's next maneuver demonstrated the kind of tactical innovation that made humans dangerous. Instead of continuing the attack, she began transmitting on multiple frequencies, sending detailed information about the engagement to other human vessels throughout their star system. "What is she doing?" Captain Velthar asked over the communication. Link Zexhai watched the transmission spread across human communication networks. Chen was not just fighting for herself. She was gathering intelligence for her entire species. Every detail about alien technology, every observed capability, every tactical lesson learned was being shared with human military forces across their system. "She is turning this engagement into a learning experience for all of humanity," Zexhai said quietly. The implications were staggering. When galactic species encountered new threats, information flowed slowly through official channels and formal reports. Military doctrine adapted gradually through committee decisions and bureaucratic processes. Humans were sharing tactical intelligence in real time across their entire civilization. Within hours, human military units around their star system were implementing countermeasures based on Chen's observations. Fighter squadrons modified their attack patterns to account for alien shield technology. Naval commanders developed new strategies based on the observed capabilities of the patrol ship. "Admiral, we are detecting increased human military activity throughout their system," reported the sensor operator aboard the research station. Admiral Thexvol's image appeared on the main screen, his reptilian features showing deep concern. "Dr. Zexhai, this situation has moved beyond research parameters. The humans are not responding to first contact as any previous species has done." "How so, Admiral?" "They are not seeking communication or attempting to understand our intentions. They are preparing for war." Zexhai looked at her screens showing human forces mobilizing across their planets. Military units were moving to strategic positions. Spacecraft were being armed with improvised weapons based on Chen's intelligence reports. Most troubling of all, human scientists were already developing countermeasures for technologies they had observed for less than a day. Captain Chen's voice came through the intercepted communications, speaking to what appeared to be a military command center. "This is Lucky Strike. I've transmitted all tactical data on the alien vessel. Their shields are vulnerable to sustained kinetic impact. Their weapons have a charge-up delay of approximately 3 seconds. They rely heavily on sensor targeting, so interference tactics are effective." She paused, and when she continued, her voice carried a tone that made Zexhai's throat sacs contract with unease. "Recommend immediate fleet mobilization. These aren't explorers or diplomats. This was a military interception. They're testing our capabilities." "Captain Velthar, withdraw immediately," Admiral Thexvol ordered. "Return to the fleet and report for debriefing." As the silent observer retreated from the engagement, Zexhai realized that everything had changed. The humans had not just survived first contact with galactic military technology. They had learned from it, adapted to it, and immediately begun sharing that knowledge with their entire species. For the first time in her career, Dr. Zexhai wondered if the galaxy was ready for humanity. 2 days after the encounter with Captain Chen, Dr. Zexhai made a discovery that changed everything she thought she knew about humanity. Hidden deep within Earth's communication networks, she found evidence that the humans had been preparing for galactic contact for decades. "Doctor, you need to see this," called Yelra from her communications analysis station. Her compound eyes reflected dozens of data streams flowing across multiple screens. "I have been monitoring human military communications since the incident with their cargo ship." Zexhai moved to the station, her 4 arms working to adjust the displays. What she saw made her primary heart race with alarm. The humans were not surprised by alien contact. They had been expecting it. "Show me the communication patterns," she requested. Yeldra's fingers danced across her control interface, bringing up network maps of human military and scientific institutions. Doctor, there is a hidden network connecting military bases, research, facilities, and government installations across their planet. They call it the Deep Sky Project. The scope of human preparation was staggering. For 30 years, human scientists had been studying radio signals from space, looking for patterns that might indicate alien civilizations. Their military forces had been developing theoretical combat doctrines for fighting against hypothetical alien technologies. Most disturbing of all, they had been collecting and analyzing debris from space. Kreltos, scan the human databases for references to recovered alien technology, Zexai ordered. Her assistant's electromagnetic senses probed the human information networks. What he found made his head tentacles writhe with agitation. Doctor, they have been studying fragments of Confederation technology for over 20 years. The display showed images of crashed survey drones, damaged sensor probes, and debris from various galactic expeditions that had passed through human space over the decades. Items that should have self-destructed or dissolved were somehow preserved and studied by human scientists. How did they prevent the security protocols from activating? Asked Jenkar. Zexai studied the human research reports with growing amazement. They had not prevented the security protocols. They had learned to work around them. When alien technology tried to self-destruct, human scientists had developed techniques to preserve partial function. When materials were designed to dissolve, they found ways to stabilize them long enough for analysis. They are reverse engineering our technology, she realized. The evidence was overwhelming. Human weapons facilities were producing projectiles designed to exploit weaknesses in Confederation shield technology. Their spacecraft were being modified with armor configurations that could deflect energy weapons. Most alarming of all, their military exercises included scenarios specifically designed to simulate combat against alien forces. Play the recording from their Colorado facility, Yelra suggested. The screen filled with footage of human soldiers training in a vast underground complex. They were practicing combat against holographic projections that looked remarkably similar to various galactic species. The simulations included energy weapons, gravitational manipulation devices, and even psionic attack patterns. Where did they get this information? Zexai whispered. The answer came from deeper analysis of their communication networks. Human scientists had been correlating data from multiple sources: radio astronomy, debris analysis, and theoretical physics research. They had built detailed models of likely alien technologies based on observable evidence and scientific principles. Their models were disturbingly accurate. Doctor, there is more, Kreltos said, his voice tight with concern. The humans have been conducting psychological studies of potential alien species. This revelation was perhaps the most troubling of all. Human researchers had created profiles of likely alien psychology based on evolutionary biology and observed behavior patterns. They had developed negotiation strategies, communication protocols, and military doctrine based on these theoretical studies. They had even created training programs to prepare their personnel for contact with species that thought differently from humans. Show me their contact protocols, Zexai requested. The document that appeared on screen made her throat sacs deflate with shock. It was a comprehensive guide for first contact situations, but not the kind that most species developed. Instead of focusing on peaceful communication and cultural exchange, the human protocols were designed around the assumption that alien contact would be potentially hostile. The document outlined procedures for intelligence gathering during initial contact, methods for assessing alien technological capabilities, and strategies for protecting human interests in negotiations with technologically superior species. Most concerning of all, it included detailed plans for asymmetric warfare against opponents with advanced technology. They are not planning to surrender or submit, Jenkar observed. They are planning to fight. Zexai pulled up more human military communications, focusing on the messages sent after Captain Chen's encounter. The response was swift and coordinated in ways that should not have been possible for their technology level. Human military commanders across their star system had immediately implemented new defensive measures based on Chen's intelligence report. Fighter squadrons were practicing attack patterns designed to exploit the 3-second charge delay she had observed in Confederation weapons. Naval units were deploying debris fields to interfere with alien sensor systems. Most impressively, human scientists were already developing countermeasures for technologies they had encountered for the first time just 2 days ago. "Look at this," Yelra said, highlighting a communication between human research facilities. "They are sharing theoretical modifications to their shield technology based on observed alien weapon effects." Zexhai read the technical specifications with growing unease. Human engineers were proposing shield modifications that might actually work against Confederation weapons. Their understanding of energy physics was primitive compared to galactic science, but their approach to problem-solving was unlike anything she had seen. Instead of trying to match alien technology directly, they were developing asymmetric solutions. Where aliens used energy shields, humans were designing kinetic barriers. Where aliens relied on sensor targeting, humans were creating stealth technologies based on different principles. "They are not trying to become like us," she realized. "They are trying to become something we cannot predict or counter." A priority communication signal interrupted her analysis. Admiral Thexvol's image appeared on the main screen, his reptilian features showing unusual strain. "Dr. Zexhai, we have a serious problem. Long-range sensors have detected human spacecraft moving toward the outer edges of their star system. They appear to be conducting systematic reconnaissance of nearby space." "How many vessels, Admiral?" 17. "Confirmed, possibly more." "Doctor, these are not exploration ships. They are military vessels disguised as civilian craft, and they are moving in coordinated search patterns." Zexhai felt her secondary heart begin racing. The humans were not waiting for aliens to find them. They were actively searching for alien presence in their region of space. "Admiral, I believe the humans have been preparing for this moment for decades. They may already know we are here." "Impossible. Our cloaking technology is far beyond their detection capabilities." But Zexhai was no longer certain of anything regarding human capabilities. She pulled up the analysis of their search patterns, comparing them to known Confederation observation protocols. The human search methods were different from any galactic procedure, but they were systematically covering areas where hidden observation posts would logically be positioned. "Admiral, recommend immediate relocation of all research stations. Believe human detection methods may not rely on conventional sensor technology." Explain. Zexhai highlighted several human vessels on the tactical display. "They are not scanning for our ships directly. They are looking for gravitational anomalies, electromagnetic signatures, and spatial distortions that might indicate cloaked vessels. Their approach is to detect the effects of our presence rather than our presence itself." The implications were staggering. If humans could detect cloaked Confederation vessels, then the galaxy's military advantage was not as absolute as everyone believed. "Dr. Zexhai, the Council is convening an emergency session. Report to the Fleet Command Center immediately for briefing." As the communication ended, Zexhai looked around her research station with new eyes. The humans were not the primitive species everyone assumed them to be. They were something far more dangerous, a species that had been preparing for galactic war while the galaxy remained unaware of their existence. She began to wonder if first contact would be humanity's introduction to galactic civilization, or galactic civilization's introduction to something entirely new. The Confederation Fleet Command Center buzzed with tension as species representatives from across the galaxy gathered for the most important meeting in centuries. Dr. Zexhai stood before a massive holographic display showing the human solar system, surrounded by military commanders who had never faced a strategic challenge like this. Admiral Thexvol gestured to the tactical projections with his clawed hand. "The situation has escalated beyond all predictions. Human forces are actively searching for our observation posts, and our intelligence suggests they may have already located several hidden facilities." General Kexmol of the Melody military spoke first, her quantum processing organs allowing her to analyze multiple scenarios simultaneously. "Admiral, surely you exaggerate the threat. Our preliminary assessments show human technology to be centuries behind our own. A single battle group should be sufficient to enforce compliance. Dr. HFY activated her data presentation, and the display filled with recordings from the past weeks of observation. General, I respectfully disagree. What we are facing is not inferior technology, but superior adaptation. The footage showed human military exercises that had taken place since Captain Chen's encounter. In just days, human forces had modified their tactics, equipment, and strategies based on intelligence gathered from a single engagement with one Confederation patrol ship. Observe their approach to our shield technology, HFY continued. The display showed human weapons tests where they fired projectiles designed to exploit the specific vulnerabilities Chen had discovered. They are not trying to overwhelm our defenses with superior firepower. They are finding ways to make our defenses irrelevant. Commander Volthek of the Volcron Speed Forces hissed dismissively. His species could move faster than most others could track, making them excellent scouts and raiders. Doctor, adaptability cannot overcome fundamental technological limitations. Their weapons are primitive, their spacecraft are slow, their sensors are basic. Commander, you are thinking like every other galactic species, HFY replied. You assume that superior technology guarantees superior results. Humans operate on different principles. She activated a new recording showing a human military simulation. The exercise pitted human forces against hypothetical alien opponents, using theoretical technologies far superior to anything humans possessed. The human response was unlike anything in galactic military doctrine. Instead of attempting to match superior technology, they found ways to make that technology work against itself. They turned alien advantages into vulnerabilities through tactics that no galactic commander would consider. Watch this segment. HFY highlighted a portion where human forces faced simulated energy weapons. They do not try to build better armor. Instead, they use the energy discharge to track weapon positions and time their charges to exploit firing delays. General, Kexmol's quantum organs process the implications rapidly. They are weaponizing our own tactical advantages against us. Precisely. But it goes deeper than tactical adaptation. HFY pulled up communication intercepts from human military networks. They are sharing tactical innovations in real time across their entire military structure. When one unit discovers a new technique, all units implement it within hours. This was perhaps the most troubling discovery. Galactic military forces followed hierarchical command structures with formal protocols for implementing new tactics. Changes required committee approval, testing procedures, and gradual implementation across different units. Humans bypassed all of these limitations through horizontal information sharing and decentralized decision-making. Admiral, interrupted the communications officer, we are receiving a transmission from the human system. It appears to be directed at our fleet. A moment of stunned silence filled the command center. The transmission should have been impossible. The fleet was positioned outside the human solar system using advanced cloaking technology and gravitational masking. Put it through, Admiral Thexvol ordered. The holographic display shifted to show a human in military uniform standing in what appeared to be a spacecraft command center. The man looked to be in his middle years with graying hair and steady eyes that seemed to look directly at each member of the Confederation command staff. I am Admiral Marcus Torres of the United Earth Defense Force, the human said calmly. This message is directed to the Galactic Confederation fleet, currently positioned approximately 47 million kilometers from our outer system perimeter. Every alien in the command center felt their primary circulatory systems respond with shock. The humans had not only detected the cloaked fleet but had calculated its precise position. We have been aware of your observation activities for some time, Admiral Torres continued. We understand that you are conducting intelligence gathering operations in preparation for formal first contact. We welcome the opportunity for diplomatic relations between our species. Dr. HFY watched the faces around her as the implications became clear. The humans had known about galactic presence all along and had allowed the observation to continue while preparing their own responses. However, Torres continued, and his tone became more serious. We must clarify that humanity does not seek protection guidance, or incorporation into existing galactic power structures. We are prepared to engage as equals in all diplomatic and, if necessary, military exchanges. General Kexmol's quantum organs were processing combat scenarios at maximum speed. Admiral, he is essentially demanding equal status with species that have thousands of years of technological advancement over them. To demonstrate our commitment to peaceful relations, Torres said, we are transmitting detailed specifications for several technological innovations that may be of interest to your scientific community. These represent our good faith efforts toward mutual cooperation. The data package that arrived made the command center erupt in confused discussion. Human scientists were sharing technologies that should not have been possible with their development level. Advanced material science, novel energy generation methods, and most disturbing of all, theoretical weapons designs that could potentially threaten galactic military systems. They are not showing us their weaknesses, Genkar observed from his position at the weapons analysis station. They are showing us their strengths. Admiral Torres was not finished. We have also prepared a demonstration of human military capabilities to ensure there are no misunderstandings about our defensive capacity. The display shifted to show human spacecraft throughout their solar system. Ships that had appeared to be civilian vessels suddenly revealed hidden weapon systems. Space stations that seemed to be research facilities deployed defensive arrays. Most impressively, the asteroid belt began moving in coordinated patterns that suggested the entire region had been converted into a massive military installation. The asteroid belt is not a natural formation anymore, whispered Commander Volthek. They have been engineering it for decades. Dr. Zexhai realized the full scope of human preparation. They had not just been building weapons to fight galactic forces. They had been restructuring their entire star system as a defensive fortification. In the interest of avoiding unnecessary conflict, Admiral Torres concluded, I invite representatives of the Galactic Confederation to meet at coordinates I am transmitting. We look forward to discussing the terms of humanity's participation in galactic civilization as an independent member species. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Admiral Thexvol was the first to speak. Dr. Zexhai, your assessment? She looked at the tactical displays showing human forces throughout their system. Ships moved with precision. That indicated years of coordination training. Weapon systems deployed with efficiency that suggested extensive preparation. Most importantly, human communication networks buzzed with activity that demonstrated total military readiness. Admiral, I believe we are no longer observing a primitive species making first contact. We are negotiating with a civilization that has been preparing for a galactic integration on their own terms. General Kexmol's analysis reached the same conclusion. They are not asking to join galactic civilization. They are demanding that galactic civilization adapt to include them as equals. And if we refuse, asked Commander Volthek. Dr. Zexhai pulled up the final piece of data from her months of observation. Human population centers, industrial facilities, and military installations were all protected by defensive systems that incorporated lessons learned from studying captured Confederation technology. Then we will discover whether the galaxy's military superiority can overcome humanity's adaptive superiority. Admiral Thexvol stared at the tactical display for a long moment before making his decision. Prepare a diplomatic mission. It appears that first contact with humanity will proceed on terms none of us expected. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Zexhai remained behind to study the human data transmissions. Among the technical specifications and tactical demonstrations, she found something that made her understand why humanity was so dangerous to galactic assumptions. They had included theoretical scenarios for defeating every major galactic military technology not through superior firepower but through